Good morning, everybody. You'd be happy to know I'm feeling a lot better than even yesterday. My voice may not reflect it, but I do feel better. I can actually breathe a little better today. My throat's not as sore, so it's been slowly going away. So again, thank you for all of the prayers, and again, thank you, Candy, for sending me all them plants. Because man, I've been tanking up on tea like you wouldn't believe. Um, Housekeeping first. Next week we will be kicking off our dive into the book of Galatians. Now, understand, we are actually going to be doing a dive into the actual book. And so we might be there the rest of the month, because if you've been in Galatians, you'll understand that the book is heavy. And it gives, for at least me, when I read it, it gave me a very good grasp of what it meant to be in Christ. So I hope that it will help some people who have been struggling with their walk, or what it actually means to be a Christian, or whether or not it's difficult or easy. You can hopefully get a little bit of an insight in when we go through that book, because it's a really good book, really, really good book. Today, however, we have some special guests. The Jenkins are on deck today. You've met Crystal. You have not met her husband yet, so today you'll meet him, and I'll have them do their introductions, and he can give you a rundown of who he is and all that good stuff, and then we'll jump into a discussion about family. Now, another bit of not warning, but heads up, because I know there might be people who come watch this later and want to tell me that I'm making this about a certain dynamic. Um, I do want to make something clear that in the world today, the going stereotype of the black family or the black person is of a lackluster, I should say, a lackluster type. Um, and I want to start promoting something that is needed. One of that is the presence of a full blown family, and more importantly, a godly family, an example, so that people can see that the family in God is the way it should be, but more so for the black culture, that you move away from the nonsense that you've been told that you are, and into what you should be, which is a family, father, mother, children, under God dynamic. And hopefully, you will learn that it is possible, one, and it is profitable. Okay, two. So I will bring on the Jenkins now, and without further ado, here they are.
Hey,
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey,
good
friends.
morning. Hi. What's up, Straight Talk family?
So I'm going to leave you guys on the screen for a bit to give you guys a rundown, especially so you can meet Mr. Jenkins. Is how I'm going to address you first, Mr. Jenkins, and y'all can just give a little bit of information of who you are and what you guys do, and then when you're done, just give me a thumbs up, and I'll pop back up, and we'll kick off this little soiree. Okay, so the floor is yours.
Hey, friends. Some of you know my wife already, Crystal. She's been on Straight Talk before. But my name is Matthew Jenkins, and I am, I'm a worship pastor. I've been doing full time ministry since 2012,
For a long time.
2012 for a long time, and
Mhm.
grew up in church. Um, there's a saying that my parents were drug addicts. They drug me to church every Tuesday, Wednesday, every Saturday if there was something going on Saturday, and then all day Sunday. When eventually I went full time ministry, and then that's when I met my wife. We joined the church that I was serving at in full time at the same time.
Yep, we did.
At the same time, yeah, and she joined the worship team, and the rest is kind of history. It's been a wild ride. It hasn't always been easy, you know what I mean? But my wife, I told Crystal when we got married, or before we got married, when we were engaged, that I was only doing this once. I come from my father and my mom.
You cut out. You cut out. Your mic's out.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Sorry,
Sorry about
guys.
that. Sorry about that. I don't know what the last thing you heard, but I told Crystal when we got engaged, I said I'm only doing this once. My parents are together, still together, have been together for 42 years, and so And so I said that without actually knowing what it took for my parents to be together 42 years. And we spent the last couple, the next the next 4.5 years figuring out what it takes to stay together. So it's been a good ride.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You got anything to add to that?
No, you said everything.
Okay. I think it's picking up just your not the studio mics, but the computer mic at this point. So check in your settings at the bottom and make sure it's picking up your actual mic.
Oh, it is picking up. Oh, shoot. Hold on.
Did I knock out something?
Yeah, I think something got knocked out.
Do you want to do this?
Something got knocked out. Knocked it out.
Something got knocked out.
You want to do this? Sorry, guys.
To quickly answer your question, Earl, the true definition of family, there is no true definition of family. There is a definition of family. And yes, you can define family as people under one roof.
I think I'm back now.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
But the actual what we're talking about in terms of family is, and the part that I want to emphasize is who is head. You can have a bunch of people saying they're family and love each other. They say they love each other, and they can all be polyamorous. Okay, but it's not under the headship of God. And I think we have long since moved past this idea. Unfortunately, we've moved past this idea that God should be central to make it a family, because the only reason we have anything called a family is because of God.
For sure.
That's right.
If you watch The Kingdom, that is the definition of a family. But we have taken our cultural aspects and say, oh, here you go, family. That's not it. Family stems from one position only, and that's from God. And if he's not in it, at the head of it, and central to it, it's not family. I don't care what you call it. You can call it family. Doesn't mean it is a family. Like people say, oh, I'm in a gay marriage. No, you're in a union. You might be in a union, a superficial man-based union, but you ain't married, because you didn't define marriage. You didn't create marriage. So you can't now switch it up and say, now you gay and you're married. You're not married. You're connected with a ring on your hand, and man gave you a certificate, but you're not married. Yeah. So that's how I view it. And I think that is for me, I think it's the correct way, because if God is not the helm of it, I can't call you a family. I have to call you a union or a group of collective people that agree on something. But family, no. Family is a God-created thing. And if God's not at the center of it, you can't be a family. I hope that answers your question.
Facts.
So, worship pastor. I'm gonna tackle Matthew first. And this may get a little combative. No, it won't get combative.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I will ask you this. Now, I have been on. I have done my share of worship leading, and I don't dislike worship leading, but I think I've gone away from it because of what it seems to have become in the grand scheme. I'm not saying that you are this way. I'm just saying that in the grand scheme of things, because I know my heart when I worship, but at the same time, I understand where worship has gone. It's not, it's long since left the realm of being about God, and it's been about performance. Yeah. Do you find in your job of worship pastor that you have to combat people who want it to be about how it looks, how it sounds, over the heart of it and who you're worshiping?
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to be careful here, because I believe in whatever we do for God, we do for excellence. Yeah. So there is an element of wanting to make sure that the music is right, that but not necessarily having to use that as a catalyst or as a reason to worship and not worship God, because sometimes that, not letting that be a hindrance. And also I've grown to understand that worship is broader than the music portion of the service. Right. And so it goes beyond the four walls. And really, when we come together in the church, it's really an expression of what you live daily throughout your life. Thank you. And so yeah, I mean, you got to be, you have to be careful with that, because, while I believe that in some churches, you may not have the best musicians, the best singers, and it's whosoever will. I believe when you have to do that, you do the best you can, because, I'm always reminded of when David wanted to give his sacrifice do a sacrifice for God. I believe this was after the pestilence that went through Israel. He went to go and buy sacrifices, and the guy wanted to give it to him for free. He said, I will not do anything for God that don't cost me anything. And so, again, I believe that goes to doing everything with doing what we do with excellence, but not allowing your worship to be hindered or to be necessarily or held back because the music isn't the way that you want it, or the performance isn't great. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So
yeah, and I think that's what I've been noticing too, is that, and when I have had the opportunity to lead a worship service, in our, I guess you'd call it rehearsal, or at least our precursor to the worship, my emphasis to them has always been, when you sing the song, read the song. The song has to have at least some element of drawing you to the throne. If it doesn't, and it doesn't to you, you're only going to be singing to make sure you get the right notes, or you at least put on this front. And I think we have to try and avoid exactly that, putting on this faciure of it. Of, I'm worshiping on what the song is saying, and you don't even agree with the song. I've had to have occasion where I change the words because the words don't match scripture.
Wow.
Spot on.
So, yeah. And if it doesn't work, change it. And I think that we sometimes can blindly sing a song. It sounds good, and that word works okay, but it's not true. And if it's not true, then why are you doing it? You know?
Yeah.
You said you met on. Well, can I add, before we move on? Can I add something to what you just said? You know, because what the I was just speaking to the youth at our church, just this past Sunday, and I was saying to them, talking to them about worship. That was my task, and I was really speaking to them about music, because the first thing you notice about music is the beat, and that's how you get drawn in. But we have no idea how much the words influence our actions, who we are. They're actually teaching us. They're teaching us. They're shaping us, and really, we have no idea how much music can really educate or shape a nation. That's. That I believe that's part of the problem we have with Black people, is that we listen to the wrong kinds of music. But to your point, if I don't sing worship songs that I don't believe are doctrinally sound, right, that are not biblically based, and there are a lot of Christian music that's coming out that doesn't, that is not based in truth, and those kinds of songs I stay away from.
Yeah, because they're all feel good songs,
right? And as a worship leader, I tell people, I say, you have to be first partaker in it, and you cannot be first partaker in a song. Well, me personally, let me speak for myself. I cannot partake in a worship in a song that I don't believe is truth. It's based in truth.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to address this real quick. So hear me out. One, it's not your role to do it. If you remember in the book, it says that if you do what you're supposed to do, the husband will see and will come to Christ. It doesn't say that you are supposed to drag him to Christ. It tells you, if you're living with an unbelieving husband, you do what you're supposed to do as a believing wife, and God will do what he has to do through you without you having to do a single thing. In the first place, you can't do it anyway.
Absolutely.
No, whether male or female, you can't do anything. You following is what sanctifies. The same way the husband is the covering for the wife, he has to be the covering through whom? Jesus. If he's not following, he can't be a covering.
Yeah.
Because technically he's not covering, but his following of Christ allows Christ to do the covering. The same way that if you follow what you're supposed to do, he sees what you're doing. Eventually, because your faithfulness is there, God will do what he has to do in his time. And we can't rush his time either.
Yeah, for sure.
It could happen on his deathbed. It could happen 2 days before his deathbed. It could happen tomorrow. But you trying to decide when, that's when you get into trouble. You're trying to decide how. Either he's God of all or he's not God at all. That's what we say, right? And you have to understand that his timing is his timing, not your timing. And when he does it, it's permanent.
Yeah, for sure.
Just keep that in mind. So you said you met in this environment of worship music.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's a story.
And that's why I want to touch on that. I want to hear that story. I want to hear exactly how that transpired.
Do you want to tell? Maybe we got two different versions. Let me tell my version.
Hey, look, I'm totally on board with that because that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own story, but
Right.
somebody's right. Not
So
both of y'all
we
can be right. So
we met at church. I had
yeah,
I was a new believer. Like I haven't been saved very, very long. So a lot of times what scripture I know I learned from him. Like he
that's
when I
good.
say it's the
That's good.
perfect idea of what a covering husband is, like he teaches me things. I mean, so our relationship kind of started out like that. He was the worship pastor of the church that we were in, and he I didn't know harmonies very well. I could sing, but I didn't know harmonies. So he would like just work with me. We were new to the church. He was the new worship pastor. I was the new singer there. And then we just started hanging out. And then somebody comes to church and is announced as Matthew's girlfriend, and everybody stands up and claps. This young lady had came, and I guess he was like shocked, had came and visited him. So I had shut it down. Like once I see you got a girlfriend, I'm done, right? So he, we were still talking, we're still friends, but he has a girlfriend, so I'm not interested. Anyway, we still, had to work together when we were at worship team and stuff like that. And then one day he called me, he was like, I broke up with her. And I was like, okay. And then we started dating. But one fact that I did leave out is that Matt and I are 7 years apart. So he's a baby. I'm 40 and he's 37.
33.
I mean 33. Sorry. I did that math wrong.
I'll
Sorry.
be 34 this year though.
30. So I'm 40. And so when we would hang out, people would be like, oh, how are you and Matt doing? I'm like, first of all, he has a girlfriend. He's a little boy. Like he's like my brother. He's like my brother. So no, not interested. And then so now here we are, 10 years married, 3 years, 3 kids. And people say that's like the running joke with our friends is like, how's your little brother doing?
So what is the true story there, Matthew?
I think I hit all the points.
I think she hit all the points.
Okay.
I think the only thing she left out was that when we met, I was actually looking for a girlfriend for my older brother.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I was looking for a girlfriend for my older brother. I was like, you'd be perfect, and she didn't meet my older brother till our wedding. So
yeah, I was like, hook me up with your brother. Hook me up with your brother. I never met his brother.
Yeah, I think when I moved from Baltimore, my ex-girlfriend was still in Baltimore. I was going out to PG County, and we just kind of started to grow apart a little bit. We didn't see each other as much, so things started to change. And then Crystal and I just started to get closer as friends as we were the new people in the church. It just kind of worked out that way. I will say, I wasn't going to go there. I was going to go to one the first time I noticed her, because I come from a very charismatic, apostolic, Pentecostal church in Baltimore, where, it gets kind of crazy. People fall out on the floor, foaming at the mouth. Pastors throw people on the ground and stuff like that. And then you go out to PG County, and it's a different dynamic. These are bougie black people. They don't worship as it's hard. But if you can tell from my wife's spirit, she is not the kind of she is not
very outgoing,
very expressive, very in your face. So when I noticed her, we had just got done singing Every Praise. I'll never forget the song we were singing either. We got done singing Every Praise, and she was over there just shouting and shit. And I was like, I wonder if she know we don't do that here. You know what I mean? They don't do that here. They don't do that at this church. And so I went to go and introduce myself, and and that was it. I was really drawn to how expressive she was in worship. So yeah.
And so it's been 10 years, right?
10 years.
10 years.
Any kids?
Three
kids.
Three
Yeah,
kids.
3 kids. Yep.
How old, if I may ask?
Well, 14. So I'm divorced. And so I have a son. We call it a blended family. So he's 14. And then him and I, Matt and I, we have a 7-year-old and a 6-year-old.
No more?
I'm an old lady.
I would like some more. We talk about it. We talk about it, but we talk about it, and in this economy, if we can make it work. And
my wife says that she heard the saying once: every child comes with his own rice bowl.
This is very
Hey,
true.
these are
Somehow you
facts.
make it work.
These are
So, and to your point about being, oh, my mom had me at 40.
Mhm.
Thank
Oh,
you very much.
okay.
I
So,
keep
so
telling
don't
her
give me
that,
this, don't give me this old. And Sarah was 99.
So
Anyway, I'm
I was
just saying,
hey, come on, man.
just saying. If you say be fruitful, multiply. I'm just saying. However, if there are other circumstances that you can't, that's one thing. But um, just curious. No, I'm not saying you have to.
No,
I was
it's
just asking
fun.
if you were going
No,
to.
we
No,
love. Yeah,
we
we are totally pro life. So if
yeah,
it
we're open. Yeah,
happens,
we're open to
it's
it.
just gonna be here.
We don't believe
Yeah,
in geriatric
gotcha.
pregnancies because that's not in the Bible. So
You see, the instigator in chief is in the house. This is my wife here. See,
is she?
The secret place.
see
That's how I
this
got
is
him
that
to try. Oh,
because that's our last one, our 8-year-old, going to be 9 here. Okay, so we have 5. Okay,
oh
so
wow,
Wow,
we
it's
are
such a
wow.
blended too.
blessing.
So, um, and yeah, and 40 is young. Exactly, Dolores. 40 is young.
That's
Thank you,
right.
Um,
Dolores.
so don't get that number in your heads as a bad thing. Um, so you guys are parents. What is the most difficult part of parenting in today's culture for you?
The influences. I would say for me, like just being ferocious and being like a mad lady protecting your kids because the world is seeking to teach them something that is against every single thing that you knew. I was talking to my mom the other day because we were just debating on whether private schools are the best. And I said, Mom, public schools, grew up in a time where public schools, like you might have, difference of like small differences as to, whether you think people should be gay or not, or you like small differences. Now they are like wearing their differences on their sleeve and indoctrinating your kids, and you are being made to be out the bad person. Like it's not
Right.
like, oh, your mom just believes that, but she's still a great person. No, your parents believe this and they are evil and they're hateful. And so just to me, the hardest part about parenting is just trying to because you don't get a chance trying to do it well because you don't get a chance to do it over.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, and Crystal does really good with that. And I've kind of she is a typical, she's a woman. She nurtures. She one of the things that she says that I love is that we brainwash our kids, which we do.
We do.
We tell them we
brainwash away.
we tell them this is bad, this is ghetto, this is not
Yep.
cool. We do all of that, and to the point, actually, there's a story of my daughter, her cousin came and showed her new nose piercing, and and Maddie said, "Mommy says the nose piercings are stupid." You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Like, I would.
So, you know, so we just, we, like we said, we brainwash our kids. But what I love is, Crystal kind of knows my heart, like where I am morally, where I am biblically, and she's able to nurture that
Mhm,
within the kids.
mhm.
Um, and I love that dynamic. And we've wrestled. We've wrestled over the years. I think we're coming to a place where we're like, this
10
is,
years. This is
we're getting to a place where we're like, this is where we stand on this, and it all comes back to because remember, she said, as she stated, she was new to Christianity, right?
Uh-huh.
But not only was she new to Christianity, I was also questioning certain things about my faith as well.
Right,
It
right.
had nothing necessarily to do with the Bible, but what I was seeing portrayed in the world, right?
Mhm.
Does this line up with biblical values? Does this line up with biblical values? And so we wrestled a lot with that. And I got into a place where I felt like I was more settled, where she was still being groomed and being shaped and being molded. But if I knew the spirit that God had led me to in her, it would ultimately, she would get there. And we both got there together. And
Yeah.
so we're able to nurture those values in our kids. But I agree. The hardest thing about raising kids is the values. And, I'm talking to my Jerry, our oldest, about some of the music that he listens to, because children just don't understand how much music affects their behavior, affects their attitude, affects
Mhm.
their positivity. I told him a while ago, I said, I want you to download one Christian song, every week. And I can, and I don't assert myself too much because, he has his dad, very much in his life. I'm very secure in my relationship with him. But at the same time, I try to teach him some things about, especially the music part.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so influential to these
Right.
kids these days.
Right. And I agree with what Corey said. The world isn't afraid to brainwash your kids.
That's right.
No.
That's
You
right.
know? And so if you ain't gonna do it, then they gonna
Somebody
take the
will.
chance to do it, you know. And so if we really believe that what we have is the truth, then wash them with the word, man. Brainwash that brain. Make sure you get that brain clean.
Exactly.
Are you more of a disciplinarian, or you just kind of kick them back in the ring when they try to run from mom?
No, we're
I
tight
think we're
on that.
both. We're
Yeah,
both disciplinary.
We're both very much disciplinarians. You can't get in between us. You know what I mean?
Like, you can't play. They can't
They
be like,
can't
I'm
play
gonna
one
ask
against.
mom. and
No,
stuff like that.
absolutely not. Even when and Crystal's done a good job with co-parenting with Jerry's dad, and Jerry has tried to play me against his father one time, but I don't think he knew that.
He
hey,
tried it one
I
time.
was like, you know, me and your father talk, right?
He tried it one time. He tried it one time.
I was like, you know, we want the same things for you, you know what I mean? Which means we all agree on how you should be raised, on how you should be disciplined, you know, what good sensible values are, you know. So yeah, no, we are very much disciplinarians. Yeah.
And any of our kids can catch these hands at
Right.
any
Anytime.
time. It don't matter. They sometimes we let stuff slide. Sometimes we let stuff slide. But and especially my son, he's older now. He's 14. Sometimes when a child is older and you're still like hitting them, you kind of feel like a bully because his body is like a man, and it's like you're going to just hit him. But no, any of my little kids, they will get popped at any given time. And I don't care. I will scream it to the mountaintops, and I'll do it in front of anybody. And I dare anybody to say anything, because if you can do better, you can have them. You can take them.
Well, I remember
bring them back in 5 minutes. Watch.
I remember there was one time because I hadn't put my hands on Jerry in a long time, and there was one time, I think it was like a year ago, where you know he'll try sometimes, you know. And we were leaving out for school, and he just kept, you know, he was trying my patience. He was trying my patience, and I went into the room. I said, "Who are you talking to?" And I mushed him on the ground like really hard, and he hasn't tried it since. But I was like, "Look," I told Chris, I said, "Look, just," and then we do that sometimes with our kids. Like, your son really tried it, or your daughter really tried it, and, you know. But yeah, very much discipline.
Yeah.
We don't take that.
So I want to address one comment in the comment section here.
Mhm.
Hitting children leads to awful psychological outcomes. Our children don't turn out queer, and our children don't turn out wearing purple hair and with
Exactly.
nose rings all over their body. And our children don't grow up to be a whole lot of crazy folks. So we will take our spanking. Y'all can take your psychological, behavior.
Did he let me know how that works out for you, bro?
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
seriously, I'm
Tell
not
me
no
what.
hater. If you feel like you don't have to hit your kids, God bless you. I'm not that lucky, but I spank my kids. I do not abuse my kids, but they do get popped if they.
Y'all can take your parenting how you want. Don't tell us how to parent, though.
Right.
If you want to parent your child to grow up in a world where they don't know how to handle life, fine, feel free. That's you.
Yeah.
We raise our children the way, because you know who made them? We did.
Yep.
Y'all don't have a hand in that. We got together. Families got together. Bam. I got spanked when I was a kid. I don't have any psychological issues.
I have none. And I got spoke. And it's so funny. People like come up to me and come up to us and say, your kids are so well behaved. I mean, even at 6 and 7, your kids are so well behaved. They're so well behaved. What do? I spank them. I spank them.
Now,
That's what I do.
understand, I know the world like to screw people up with this statement of I spank my child to I abuse my child. There is a massive difference between a beating
Yep.
and a spanking.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so if you want to equate the two as one is the same, that's on you. That's a psychological issue on your end.
Yep.
On our end, we know what a spanking is versus
Yes,
a
that's right.
beating to the
Yep.
point where a child is abused.
Right.
That,
right.
of course, will lead to psychological issues. But if you want to conflate the two, feel free. But y'all don't like us to conflate the same thing when a gay couple raises a gay child to be
That's right.
transgender.
Yep.
And we
That's
say that's psychological abuse. You'll say, no, that's just
No,
raising
it's
the child to
not.
be free. See, y'all don't want us to equate nothing that y'all do to how the kid ends up, but y'all like to do that to us. I'll tell you what,
Exactly.
y'all parent how you want to parent. We parent how we want to parent.
That's right.
Let an
That's right.
atheist parent without God, and we gonna parent with God, and we gonna see where each end up at the end of their life. That's all. So
Just
let
keep
time
y'all
tell.
kids away from my
Keep
kids.
them away from mine. Yeah.
Just stay in your
I work
lane,
too
and we're gonna stay
hard.
in ours. We're gonna stay in ours. You stay
And
in your lane, and you're staying yours. It's great. It's a great dynamic. It's
yeah,
so wonderful when everybody can stay where they belong.
one of the
You don't
things
want nothing to do with
yeah,
God, and we don't want nothing to do with atheism.
that's
It
right.
works out perfectly. So, to my other question, in your line of work with, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to remember here, and I remember I have brain issues because of my injury. So just forgive me if I forget what you do for a living there, Crystal. Um, but with you having the lion's share in the worship arena, what do you find as the most gelling in your time away from your work together as a couple, minus the kids? What is your gelling time? How do you guys keep together, grounded in your relationship? What do you guys do for that?
Oh, I mean,
One of the best things, we're
go ahead.
friends.
Yeah,
Like
we're
we are I think that is one of the detriments to a lot of relationships and marriages, as I've noticed, is that they're just not friends. They don't like each other. They rely on other people to for comfort and for advice. Matt and I are truly like friends. So what gels us together is I can't think of a single other person that I would love to talk to, that I would love to go to a restaurant with, that I would love to gossip with, like that I would love to, like, oh my God, let me tell you what happened with the girls. Like, and he does, he's the best person to gossip with because he forgets it. Like he
That's a
don't listen
that's
to
a
me.
that's a, what we call compartmentalizing. Okay. Now,
Exactly.
mind you, it's not that we forget.
It's true. That's
Oh,
true.
we ain't forgetting it. We just never gonna touch it. That's in the whole compartment that we don't even go until you open that casket. We're
Yeah.
not even dealing with it. That's not on us.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And so I would say that what we do is, I mean, like we talk on the phone, you guys. Like
Yeah.
if I could encourage anybody, it's like to try your best and be friends with your spouse, admire them, to like them, and to talk to them and give them a chance. I know even if they didn't do it well, keep trying.
Yeah, one of the things I'm intentional about, well, before I get to that, I will say to her point, now that Jerry is older now, he can watch the babies. Like, we hang out a lot.
Not a lot.
I'm telling you, sometimes I feel like it's too much. Like, we date. I mean, we just
Good.
date. We go out, we eat together. We it's
Do
not. I
lunch
guess it's not like we
together.
do lunch
Yeah.
together. We do lunch together. We don't do guys and girls trips. You know what I mean?
No.
Anytime we go on trips, we go together. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? We don't do vacations apart from each other. I really do spend time admiring my wife, like what she looks like, I don't want to get too graphic, but
I know exactly what you mean, bro. Trust me, I know exactly what you mean.
because you can spend so much time on social media. Like, guys can spend so much time on social media that really can put, it can really put a wedge, because then you begin to compare. I don't do that. I spend time looking at my wife, watching her dress, watching her put on her makeup, and talking to her while she's doing it. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of keeps that keeps it fresh for me.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so I know that society has told us a bunch of things about how marriage, and about marriage counselors, and they got all kinds of these
Ugh.
gurus
Stay
and
away
people
from
that
marriage
tell you what
counselors.
to do and how to be a best marriage and blah blah blah
Mhm.
blah blah. What portion of your time do you spend building up each other spiritually? Or is it
Well,
or has it become a natural thing that you don't have to like dedicate time? It's
yeah,
always a
yeah.
natural way you speak to each other. Does it become normal that it just happens?
I would say it's more that way, right?
Yeah.
I would say it's more natural. um, and I believe, society has you really live in this society. Men, we go to different jobs, the wife and the husband, and so you really have to dedicate time to each other to build each other up. We don't know what's going on in each other's jobs. You just come in, well, we know because the wife come tells us, or I come tell her. But there is like, you can't relate sometimes because you're in different fields almost.
Mhm.
And so it has become more natural when me and my wife started doing business together.
Mhm.
When we started doing business together, I mean, the podcasting, I mean, the content creation, it's like we're going through the struggle together. We're trying to build something together, which is actually more biblical than what society has set up for us.
Yeah.
Right.
to be in different fields, to follow your career, follow your career. You do your own thing. Families were really supposed to work together.
Yes.
And you're supposed to bring your children up in the family business, on the family farm. And it's when, and I started to understand that in order to make it in life, in order to get over hard times where we feel like the business isn't working, you need someone, a partner, to talk to vent to, and then for that partner to have the right kind of mindset to really be able to lift you up, to be able to lift you up, to be able to encourage you, to speak to the struggles that you're having. And so it's natural now. It's so natural because we're in business together.
And you could, like, it's not this. I think society or like TV has programmed you to be like, oh, you need a husband that prays over you, and a husband like, and they really just make it like really weird. I believe that like Matt, I don't think he's ever like laid hands on me, and but he imparts in me scripture. Like, even if I can just give a recent example, I was doing something with my business, and he and I was like, I said, babe, I need some help with this, and I need some help with this. And I was trying to do it by myself. And he was like, babe, 1 can chase 1,000, 2 can put 10,000 to flight. So let's put this 10,000 to flight. Like, he just always putting it in a biblical way. And I'm like, yeah, duh. Like, and so he just letting me know that I don't have to do certain things on my own, and how I'm working harder and getting less results by trying to do it on my own. And so those types of things, if I can encourage the people that are on your channel, like, your husband may not be like all spiritual and lay hands on you with holy oil, but listen to the gems that they give you every single day, especially if you have a godly man. Like, just his attitude and his actions and how he talks will impart that spirituality that you need from him.
So here's a question for you guys. So how do you handle when you don't feel like they didn't get it?
One of us didn't get it?
Yeah, because it's either one.
Like, if you don't get it, like,
like,
God,
you're trying to tell him something, but it's like he has that deer in the head, like
okay.
Or you try to tell something to her, and she's like,
I'm probably not the best person to ask you guys. We're all human, and one of the things that I struggle with is I will shut down, or I'll be like, you don't get it, and I'll go away. And then eventually Matt comes to me and he was like, I'm trying to get it. Can you please just say it to me again? One of the things I saw this video that said, laugh your way to a better marriage. And I forgot it. If you Google it, you'll find it. And the guy said, women, I'm going to give you the keys to getting your husband to do anything that you want. He'll understand anything that you need him to understand. He will listen to anything that you understand. And I'm going to give you this tip, and you got to do it. Okay. You listening? And we were like, yeah. He said, tell him more than once. And I was like, sometimes we're like, you didn't do it the first time, or you don't get it. And what I had to learn is that men don't operate the way that women operate. And for us, if they don't get it the first time, we think they're not listening. Or if we don't get it the first time, we feel like they don't care. No. Their brain doesn't function like that. And you have to keep telling them, and then tell them again. And then maybe tell them the third time.
Now here's
I'm
gonna give you some advice about men too. Your husband may not be able to say it, but I'm gonna say it to you. Okay? I'm gonna say it to you. Your time ain't my time.
It's right. It's right.
Yes.
And when I get it done, it gets done. Like, okay, I'll give you an example on my side. Okay, so see, wouldn't that be perceived as nagging? My wife understands something about me, right?
Uh-huh.
But this is just me. I'm not saying this is every man.
Okay.
If she wants me to get something done, my biggest request is that you state it unequivocally what exactly it is you want done. I don't want vague instructions.
That's it.
I don't want these half-done instructions. I don't want you to have me to read your mind as to what you actually want. I need details. If you want me to build a shelf, but you want the shelf only so long, don't tell me I just need a shelf to put stuff on.
Right.
Because I'm going to go and you tell me I want it there. Okay, that's one part of the instruction. Then I go build a shelf there, but I only build it enough to house salt shakers. Okay, but you wanted it to house pots. But then you come to me and get mad because I build it to house salt shakers because I see the abundance of salt shakers you got. You got 5 pots. You got 50 salt shakers. In my head, I'm using logic and saying that shelf would be great for salt shakers. She didn't tell me what exactly she wanted. So I'm going to build it. Now, if you came to me and say, I need a pot shelf, and I need it to house all 5 of my pots, I will go check the pots out, get my measurements, build to fit exactly your shelf for what you need it for, put it where you want it. It is done.
Yeah.
I think what women like to do is assume we know.
We know. Exactly.
We don't know, nor do
Yeah.
we care
That's
because
true.
it's not in our head, it's in yours.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
If you ever realize when we go do our projects, do we ever ask you?
Yep.
for any-
Nope.
No.
Not at
Okay,
all.
we go do our thing and we make our measurements and we do blah, 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 right? That's the key. You ask me to do something specific, make it specific.
Right.
And don't ask me to come into your head. Now, I've seen you guys' purse. I don't want to be in that.
Ah!
If your purse is a representation in your head, I don't want to be in there for
Closet.
nothing.
Right.
Closet. Keep that stuff, man. I have enough on my plate. I don't need to be in your head. Your head is a wow.
I
I'm
know.
telling
Y'all know how to navigate it like you navigate your purse. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So just give me something out of your purse and say, this is what I want, and we'll do it.
Yeah.
So if
Details.
you do that, give me details.
You need
Give me
details. And if we don't know what's in your head, then we're stuck to come up with it in our heads, and that could take a while. Like
I
it could
go a
just
long while.
like it could. I can like then I'm starting to think about what color does it need to be? Does it match? Does it need to match the kitchen?
Thank you.
Right? Like okay, like you said, the length of it, right? Like if she's gonna put pots and pans on there, okay, is she gonna put pots or pans?
Or
Like,
pans.
what is it? You know what I
Are
mean?
they gonna hang? Do I need to put hooks?
Right.
Look,
Exactly. All of that.
this is what's going on up here. Okay.
I'm telling you.
So you asking us to do something right away when in our head we got to like hold on. And my wife has seen me do this. She wants to rearrange the living room. I was like, whoa. We gonna draw this out before I move a piece of furniture because I'm
Let's
not moving
go.
nothing twice.
Yeah.
So I will get my piece of paper and I will sketch out what
Mhm.
layout looks the best. And that takes me some time. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
just dive into rearranging. And she can tell me right now if I'm lying. Right now, Bianca, you tell me if I'm lying about that for example. All right, you can call me out right now to tell me
Call
if
him
I'm
out.
lying. Call me out, okay?
Uh,
Because I don't do that. I can't do it. It frustrates
Right,
the
right,
mess
right.
out of
And
me
that's-
to have to
and
do something twice.
Waffles
and
and
that's
spaghetti.
where we have most of the issues is that she doesn't like to do that work. She's just like this is a
Get it
famous
done.
line.
Yeah.
Hey, there it is. That's a famous. I thought it was just my wife, bro. I thought it was just mine.
No,
I just want it
wives,
done. I just want it done. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, all right, And then if I don't do it in her time, then she, the another famous saying, I'll just do it myself. You know what I mean?
You know what I've resorted to do? Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
But you know what will end up happening? It gonna get either done wrong or
Right.
not done at all, and then be like, so I thought you were gonna get it done today. Okay, I'll get it done tomorrow. So wait, you're rushing me to get it done, and you said it should be done now, but you ain't getting it done. So
Oh my god.
you just like me then, is what you're trying to tell me. So
Yep.
we're twins. Okay, good. Next time I linger, just let me know. I won't have to worry about it.
Waffles and spaghetti. Like our brains are like spaghetti. You guys are like waffles. That's what there's a saying.
Very,
like
very
that.
plain.
Yeah.
There's a section for everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Section
You
for
can
everything.
put the syrup and it'll all line up.
Yeah, all right. That's it.
Spaghetti, you just
It's just all over the waffle. Have you ever heard that? Like it's a whole book
it
called
makes sense.
Men are like waffles, women are like spaghetti.
It makes sense. It makes sense. And without meatballs too.
True. Well, not these days, sometimes.
Sometimes you might encounter someone with meatballs, but they ain't women. Then trust me. They twisted like spaghetti, but they're not men, not women.
Yes.
Okay, so just-
Oh my god.
I want to read something to you,
Okay.
and you let me know if this is an example of your guys' marriage. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. She watches over the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many daughters have done well, but you excel them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is passing, but a woman who fears the Lord shall be praised. Give her the fruits of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Mr. Matthew, is that something that you think exemplifies your wife?
Absolutely. And the more I go through the book of Proverbs, I'm like, man, like, I think even before there were early on before we were married, I saw some qualities in her. You know what I mean? That, the way that the way that she was a mother to her son, the way that the son loved his mother, she again, and then that, she's concerned about the things of her household. Again, I was just talking to someone about how my wife is she's a homebody, you know what I mean? Like, she doesn't do the girls trip, she doesn't go out and she really is concerned with the things of the home, and some people think that's traditional, or that is, it's outdated or it's not relevant. She's not concerned with those things. She's only concerned about values, God, biblical values, where it goes to stay, that part where she fears the Lord, which means she's not concerned with what people are saying about her. She's only concerned about how God is going to honor her and how she was to her husband and how she was to her children. She says all the time to me, like, I got to answer to God for the way that I treat you, and so that has nothing to do with how you treat me, or it's how I treat her. And so I just praise her a lot. I talk about her constantly at work. You can't say enough. I mean, life can be really hard with a partner that is not what you just described in that scripture. That is always out with the girls, not concerned about the things that are going on at home, not disciplining her children, or nurturing her children in the way that her husband feels they should be nurtured, and so you can't trust a woman like that. You know what I mean? You can't trust them. You can't go to work with peace of mind saying that your kids are going to turn against you because of something that their wife is telling them about you,
right,
or you know what I mean? I don't have to worry about those kinds of things, because I have a woman who's in tune with me morally and
that thinking has like perpetrated our culture. I mean, like I said, penetrated our culture so much, where women feel like serving their family or being a wife or a mother is like slavery. Like, like cooking and cleaning is slavery, or taking care of your kids or taking care of your husband. And what freedom is going out with your girls and going out. And they even tell me, they're like, self-care. You need to go out with your girls sometimes. And that's not self-care at all. Like, I can't think of a single thing that I would love to do more than to take care of my family. It adds value to me, and it's in direct correlation what's going on in the culture and what's going on with women in their depression. I think I saw it's about 25% of American women are on SSRIs, like on depressive medication. It's in direct correlation with them not seeing what they were made to do. You were made to serve your family. You were made to take care of your kids. You were made
to be a mother, not abort your child.
to not abort your child. Exactly. You were made to that. And that's the only time that you're going to ever be fulfilled, is when you're doing what God called you to do. I have not mastered having a clean house, like meaning like that you can eat off the floor, but I try. I have not mastered being a perfect mother, but I try. Like I find value in that.
Now, you touched on something, and I think it was like I think you've been on the program twice now, and I think you can understand how this thing flows. Okay.
Yeah.
And I want people to understand. People know the program already, but
yes.
For those who are new, things that are said it is an organic program. You can ask Crystal if I spoke to her about anything before she came on here.
No,
I did not. And so when she mentioned something, and mind you, I've already picked out this particular thing, and she just touched on it right away. So I know who's in charge of this right off the top, right from the rip.
Amen.
Okay.
Amen.
So I brought up this scripture and I'm going to read it to you. And this is more for the Matthew side, but you touched on this before too. Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, also as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, let wives be in submission to their own husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her.
Mm-hmm.
So this question is for Crystal.
Okay.
Do you see your husband and speak to him as you would Christ?
Oh yeah, I've not perfected it at all. I came from, so just to give you a little bit of background for those who don't know, I came from a divorced household, single parent. My mom didn't marry my stepfather until I was around 13 years old. So it was just all us girls. We didn't have, I had two sisters. And so it was like my mom and my two sisters. So it was all four women. And so we didn't feel like we needed men, and we felt like men were stupid. Now, mind you, at that time, you're still countering the culture of the love and marriage. You remember where the dad is a blithering idiot. Dad doesn't know. Mom's the boss. And so it was really, really hard when I got married. And that's probably why I'm divorced. And then when I met Matt, I was going down that same path. I know what's going on, especially with us having 7 years of difference in a marriage. I almost treated him like a child, and I would say those kinds of things. And people say, oh yeah, a man is like a child, or like having a husband is like having a child. I check it now. I used to be like, yeah. I check it now because they're not children. But yes, it was very hard combating this culture. And you can only do that with the Holy Spirit. You can only do that with God inside of you, because everything else is telling you you're equal. You're just as smart. Y'all are both the head. You're just as strong. It doesn't matter. He has to do the dishes too. He has to do and honestly, it's nothing wrong with the guy who does that. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong. But when you start to create equality in a marriage, it will go completely downhill. He doesn't do the dishes, and I don't require him to do the dishes, right? But I also don't do my own breaks. So if you're not willing to do your own breaks, then be okay that he's not willing to do some of the things that you do. And that equality has killed marriages. And so I say that to say it's a process every single day of checking your ego and checking yourself to be like, God has required me to serve. He made me to serve. And I'm happiest when I'm doing that, because when my husband is happy, and they even say happy wife, happy life. No. Happy husband, you will have the most security. You will have the most love. This man will leap tall buildings with a single bound, for he will do anything for me, if you make sure your husband is happy.
Right. So a question here for you is this, if you can read it. It says, how does your wife build relationships with other women who are right where she is, or farther along on her journey of womanhood, mother or wife?
It's hard.
Are they asking, how does your wife? Are they asking me?
Build relationships with other.
Well, you might know.
Hard.
You might know, because you said that it's a matter of not having these women relationships and always hanging with the girls. So is it, and I'm not saying that you might allow her people.
No, right. Yeah.
But if there is a dynamic where you can say, and you have a different discernment about people. Now, some women may connect with other women that they don't see a certain type of behavior from that lady, but you do. Do you have that kind of relationship where you can tell her, hey, so Sophia that you hang out with, I had a couple of questions about her and her. Do you have that kind of openness where you can tell her that she don't strike me right? Something not right.
There's some females that I tell my wife even now, even some of my family members.
He's like, don't
I'm like, and that she loves. Like I got some cousins she loves to death, because my wife is still very much. I'm
a hood chick.
She likes the ghetto talk. She likes the ghetto. She likes the gossip.
Saved by grace.
She loves the Love and Hip Hop, although she stopped watching. She don't really watch Love and Hip Hop no more.
I don't watch it.
But that kind of thing. She's still in that, and I'm like, I don't like this one. Like I don't like this one. You shouldn't be talking to this one. Now, eventually she'll come to the conclusion whether or not whether she says whether she decides that I can tell my wife something, and this is, and I don't make it a point to command her to do something. You know what I mean? I don't think that's my job. My job is to teach her and to let God do the work.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so and she's careful about what she lets into her ears and what she lets into her eyes and how it affects her.
Mhm.
And I trust her in that regard. So to your point, yes, we do have that kind of relationship, but she does it with me too. Like, she does it with me. Like, do you really want to hang around this dude, that, that dude, how is this person helping you with your business or with your job? You know what I mean? Helping, so I think you just have to be careful about that. So setting boundaries is something that all marriages should do that a lot of marriages don't.
Yeah, there's a book called Hedges that's really, really beautiful. I forget the name, but it just talks about setting boundaries in your marriage and being very careful. I don't really have a lot of close friends, and the close friends that I do get, they are all married. I don't do single friends at all.
Right.
I have people that I talk to that are single, but I don't let single women get close to me. It's really hard though, because a lot of the generation before us, so we're talking about the baby boomers, they grew up very in this whole working woman equality. I think it was the feminism time. And what I've found is a lot of the older women are foolish. They are very, very foolish. And if you listen to the older women at this point in your marriage trying to build something solid, you will really mess up. So, I mean, I'm like praying and asking God every single day to show me, just based on the word. And because, I mean, a lot of the women now, especially the feminists, they're really
tough. And especially here in Baltimore, you're surrounded by it. There's not a lot of good examples of or people who understand what friendship really is. They don't have those values, and even a lot of the marriages don't exemplify. Like, there are some people who are married, I don't want my marriage to look like yours.
At all.
So it's tough. I think we have the benefit of the internet where we could connect with people like you, Marlon, and then who understand, who we can kind of connect with as far as who share our values. So it's tough. It's really tough in certain areas and certain places to really have couple friends, to have it's tough.
And so the question is, do you guys ever befriend single people to help them and mentor them into getting to a place of being a husband and being a wife?
No,
we haven't. We haven't. We do have friends who have been married. Like Crystal has this friend who has been married, who I wouldn't say no, because we have Keith, Shelby.
Why don't you say those names?
Sorry, putting those names out.
We don't know them, so it don't make a difference.
And they never gonna see this.
Or they may.
So
that's okay. Then we're trying to help y'all, Keith and Shelby.
There's people who we have walked through in their marriages and tried to help them, and and there are other people. You know what I mean? I won't call out names, but yeah, I mean, we do it. We don't intentionally do it. It just happens that
now
way.
People may come to you, like for me. Okay, I have quite a few single friends, men. Not a whole lot, but a few. And I don't talk to them necessarily about their relationship, but I find some of them coming to me to ask me questions. I always tell them one big thing: I'm not trying to tell you how to run your life. I can tell you how mine runs, and you can decide for yourself if you want to do that. But I can tell you who my catalyst is, and that's who I talk to about my issues, and you can figure that out for yourself. I don't necessarily think that my job is mentoring, but I think my life should be a mentoring process for them to see. And if they do still have questions, if they can't see it, then you can feel free to come in. I'm not going to put myself out there and say, I'm going to mentor you in the ways of marriage. Because trust me, marriage is not a cut and dry, simple, easy fix, and it's done and you know it perfect. It is one of the most tumultuous rides you'll ever be on, and it is one of the most rewarding rides you'll ever be on. And it can either make you or completely snap you in half and throw the other piece away.
Well, to your point, Marlon, if I could say, not to cut you off or belabor this, but one of the things that kept us together was that we sought out mentors.
Yeah,
we sought it out. Like the pastor that married us, When we were going through things and Crystal was always in his office, I was like, dang, she in there again. You know what I mean? Like I would just get frustrated, but I sucked it up. I sat there because I knew that he was for the marriage. You know what I mean? And so to your point, I feel like we have to, and not a lot of people do, because we're getting all of our marriage advice from relationship gurus on the internet and from what we see online and from reality TV, that we bring those values into the house and we don't seek out mentors and people who can help our marriage stay together or work. We don't do that enough, and that has to be an intention.
To your question, Earl, this is what the actual proverb says. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. That obtaining, when you're married, you'll understand what that obtaining means. It is something that you actually acquire as a result of the marriage. It is not necessarily the wife herself. It is the union that brings the favor. Not saying that you can't have favor from the Lord without being married, because even Paul said, I wish that some of you didn't have to be married so that you could devote your entire life to the Lord, because that is favor. But when you are married and the two of you are following the Lord, it is quite favorable because you have someone that you can walk through this life with. And it is shown in the way that the dynamic of the church and Jesus is portrayed. Now, is it a standalone thing? The humans aren't meant to be standing alone anyway, hence why you have the church, and then hence why you have that connection between God and the church. But the favor that you find when you're married, you'll understand this more too. As marriage proceeds, you understand more of what the submission to God looks like, and you'll also understand what the chastisement of God looks like, and you'll also understand what having a union between father and son, father and child looks like, because you entertain what it looks like in the spirit, in the flesh. That is a massive amount of favor. So yes, it is true. However, it's a different type of favor. I can't equate it to no favor not being married and only favor when you get married. It's a different type of favor. And to the extent that marriage is successful is not, I don't think it's hinged on people being who they are individually. I think in order to make sure that your marriage is productive, each one has to have a relationship with God. If only one does it, you end up being it's still unequally yoked.
For sure.
It's still unequally yoked because only one of them is putting in the effort. And the effort has to be there, because if you don't love the Lord, you're going to end up hating your partner, because you're going to see them striving to something that you have no desire to, and you're going to end up hating them for it. Trust me and believe it, it's going to end up hating for it. The other person is not going to hate you for it, but they're going to be kind of like this. They're on their path and I can't do much about it. And you isolate yourself in a lot of ways when you do that. And you end up walking the path of marriage by yourself. And it's a very uncomforting and very dislocating thing to have. But when you look at marriages today, the emphasis, like you said, Crystal, seems to be on this mutual affection thing, where it has to be an equal to the marriage thing. And I think this is a great way the devil has usurped the way marriage is supposed to work, because like I said, we didn't institute marriage. Mankind did not institute marriage. That's a God thing. When we remove the author of marriage out of the equation, all you're left with is a civil union. And in a civil union, sure, equality is great. The problem is, whose equality are we talking about? And to what level is your equality going? Say, all right, let's talk equality. And my
women
wife,
don't want equality.
No,
I'm telling you.
I'm going to show you equality here right now. My wife does not like to handle power tools. Like, I don't. In an equal world, I would just never touch the power tool and say, until you decide to touch the power tool, we ain't doing nothing with power tool.
We ain't doing it.
We ain't doing the power tool. All right. Until you build your shelf, I'm not building a shelf.
Right.
Okay? Until you go out there and handle that weed whacker all day, I ain't touching the weed whacker. Okay. Hot. And until you do the stuff that I have to go do, I ain't doing it. Okay. Now that would be equality. However, the women could also say, until you birth a child, I ain't birthing a child.
Yeah.
And for it's like, well, but that's not
It don't
equal.
work.
But no, you wanted equality. If you want equality, then make it. But you can't make it equal because we're not
We're
equal.
not
There
equal.
is no realm on earth where a man can be a woman and a woman can be a man. It is
Yeah.
Careful, Marlon, because
impossible.
you're in the wrong nation, bro.
Impossible.
It's
Man can't be
impossible.
a woman can't be a man. I don't care how many pieces of you cut off. I
It's
don't care
true.
how many attachments you add from your forearm or from your thigh. You will
Agree.
never be a man and you ain't never going to be a woman if you weren't
That's
born
right.
that way. Period,
Yeah.
point blank. So let's start to where equality really happens. Equality happens only in one place and one place only. And that is when you look at yourself as a sinner.
Yes. In the eyes of God, we are all
We're all
equal.
equally sinners
Yep.
before coming to Christ.
Yep.
And then that equality flipped to the other side of the coin. Now we are all equal in Christ.
Yes.
That's the only equality you get. After that, our roles has not changed because he still gives you a hierarchy to follow. If you don't like that hierarchy, then don't call yourself married. Because
Yeah.
like I say, you can say it all you want. It doesn't make it true. The same way you can say you're a woman when you're a man. It don't make it true, but you can live in Delulu if you want. I mean, that's your choice. It
Yeah.
might be a nice place. You might decorate it really good and you have a nice entrance and all that crap, but it's still wrong. I don't care what you say to yourself.
Yeah.
In your union so far in this 10 years,
Hmm.
if you had, I'm not saying that you regret anything, but if you had to start over with this one bit of information at the very start,
Mm.
what would that one bit of information, if you had now, if you had that you have now that you had then, what would it be?
You want to go first?
I would say, um, God, one bit of information.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough
That's a
one.
good question, man. That's a good question.
That's a tough one.
Um,
See, I guess my biggest thing, and I think it was probably why I made a lot of mistakes, is to see your spouse as God sees them. Like, I know when you are married to somebody, it is the one way that you get to see all of their scars and all of their imperfections, and you see that, if they say, if you will think you're perfect until you get married, because that person is so close to you and they're able to see it. And what I would do is, sometimes, and a lot of times, relationships, that we use that as a tool to hurt them. But once you realize that you guys are on the same side and y'all all want the same thing, you see them as God sees them, which is, they are imperfect, but they are sanctified by God. They're sanctified by you. They don't need you to be an adversary. They need to my spouse needs me to be on his team no matter what. And if I had that was a hard lesson that I had to learn. And I even shot myself in the foot. I always think about what our marriage could have been if I was his cheerleader from the beginning. Like, if I was, seeing him the way God see him from the beginning, instead of nitpicking at every single thing, maybe we'd be further on. So
for me, and I don't even know that I've ever articulated this out loud, but um, boundaries protect, they don't hinder. That's a huge one for me, because I felt like, as a man, and listening to her tell me not, like, you shouldn't do certain things, and even my pastor who had married us, saying, you as a married person, you can't do this, you can't do that. I felt like it was holding me back and not necessarily protecting what we had. I think that's a huge one, that I wish I understood back in the day. And then also understanding that you really are a safe space. Like, you're my best friend, and that 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 communication piece. I wasn't always great with that. I always felt like I needed, needed someone else, or needed more, needed friends outside to understand. You know what I mean? I don't know. That one's harder to articulate. That's a good question. I think I need to write that down now.
Yeah,
You stumped me with that one.
The reason I ask is because I for myself, I look back and see what okay, where I'm at now. And if I knew what I know now, then what would I have changed? What would it have changed in the relationship dynamic? And I found more than one thing that I would take back in knowledge, but the biggest one I would have taken back is patience.
Wow.
That's the
Okay.
biggest thing I would have taken back then was take patience back there with me. But then again, the reason I have the patience I had is because I didn't have it.
I still don't have it.
Okay. And so the reason I can say, okay, I would take that back. Yeah, because I experience it now. I'm not saying I'm always patient. I don't, everybody who knows me now, I'm not the most patient person out there. Okay. Y'all know that.
I feel like I'm patient.
Okay.
He's way
I'm a
patient.
lot better, but I ain't where I'm supposed to be. Okay. So
Mhm.
I'm still the one of the person not to try. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, try Jesus. Don't
Try
try me
Jesus,
because I
not
throw
me.
hands.
Me
Okay. So
too. You with
I'm
me,
one,
brother?
I'm
I'm a
that
hood
kind.
chick saved by grace.
What they say? I'm from the south side of heaven. Okay, so south side of the kingdom. You know, we still
No, that's so funny.
Saved by grace.
we're still a little thug out there. That'd be me. Uh, so that's what I would say. I would take patience back with me. My wife had a question, and this is the question. It was actually where I was going to go next, but she asked it forever ago, so she was ahead of
Oh
me.
my God.
And now, be honest. Now, I want you to go individually. Okay, be honest with yourself. Now, I want an honest answer from you, and I want Crystal to go first.
Okay, all right.
Okay, you
If
know
it
why I
was
want? You
up
know
to
why?
him,
Do you
they
know
would
why?
not be anywhere in
Do
the
you know
family.
why I want Crystal to go first?
Why is that?
Because of what your family dynamic was.
Uh,
Because I have a suspicion. I'm going to be a mind reader here. I have a suspicion that the ones in your family are the ones that wants to be the most intrusive.
Oh, no. You'd be surprised. So if it was up to him, our family wouldn't be nowhere involved because he doesn't tell them anything. Me, I am very much very close to my mom. And oh God, that was a hindrance for a while because I'm still very close to
So I
her.
was right.
Oh, I thought you said his family.
No, I said your family is the
Oh
one
my,
that's
yeah,
most
yeah, yeah, yeah,
intrusive.
yeah, yeah. Yes, very,
Yeah.
very. So yes, and then, but I'm also the type that will call his mom. So call his mom, call his dad, call his sister, call his brother. Like, so I'm very much a person of accountability, which is good and bad. It has worked for
I
us.
didn't always see it as accountability as much as I felt like, why are you telling everybody everything? You know what I mean? like, you know, I'm like, is that
I
necessary?
agree with that. I agree with that.
I
Okay,
did,
now,
but I looked at it like if we break up, you're gonna know why. Like, like
Right.
everybody gonna know. And that I've learned to curb, but maybe we just don't get that far into it anymore.
Well, I mean, we haven't. I mean, it's getting kind of scary how long we haven't had a fight. But it's
y'all want one? I can say something.
No. It was a lot of fighting.
What I will say is, yeah, I look at it as accountability now. I look at it as, I kind of took a I let pride get in the way of progress. You can't let pride get in the way of progress because once it's out there, everybody knows kind of, and again, family is a safe space.
Yeah.
Family is a safe space. And for the most part, my dad, who's a pastor, my mom, who are pastors, again, are people who are for the marriage, and so they're able to help you get through it, get past it, and not to let it fester and linger, because I can do that. I have the kind of personality that will not talk about anything and let it fester. And then at the last moment, it's like I'm shooting up the school. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. So and so it's better for me, and I've kind of seen it as accountability, as like, get it out there. You can get past it. When you get past it, you can learn from it and you can grow from it, And so I've kind of grown
well, I know
that
secrets.
Now.
Like
No secrets.
I blew it all up. Like,
no secrets.
And he said this and he did that.
And it's important. It's important for women to get that out too. You know what I mean?
So let me give you some old people advice. Okay.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Since I got both of you by years. And I'll give you this advice from somebody who has had people in my world who overshare. Okay. And since you, Matthew, don't share enough, and you, Crystal, share way too much.
I've learned. No, I don't
She's
anymore.
gotten better with it. I
Oh,
will say
I
she's
learned.
gotten
I
better.
learned. Woo.
Okay,
So go
so
ahead,
so
finish
I
your
want to
statement.
give you some sound advice. Okay, um, your marriage should be treated like a very, 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 very expensive piece of jewelry inside of a very, 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 very high security building
Yeah.
inside of a very, 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 very high security compound.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And not everybody should know about when the guard changes.
Oh yeah.
And not
Absolutely.
everybody should know the code to open that vault, to open that case, to touch that very expensive piece of jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
While you may want to brag to everybody about how expensive that jewelry is and how the guards are coming in every 5 minutes and how everybody should know that it's yours and it's protected for a very special reason. You
Mm-hmm.
may, on occasion, have a tour and tell everybody, see that? That's my very expensive piece of jewelry. Now, you can't touch that though. It's just mine. And here's the glass that you stand behind to view my piece of jewelry. However, if you ever touch that piece of jewelry, every guard in this building will gun you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we will not drag your body out. There is a special spot for your body so people could also watch the display and watch the rest of the bodies that got piled up because they went to touch that. So definitely not to touch it because we stand on business. We go kill you. It's like
Right.
heartbeat. So with my marriage and with I don't tell my mom everything.
Yeah.
I will let her know things are good or, we're working on some stuff, but I will never include any of my family members on anything that's happening in my marriage. Why? It's my marriage. I try to encourage my wife not to. It used to be that everything was shared. I had in my first marriage,
Right.
everything was shared.
Yeah.
And so there was no real sanctity to the
Mhm.
marriage. There was just this open forum.
Mhm.
There is a reason why it is cherished, and it's between you and her. You're going to go through life with this person for the duration.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
And if nothing is sacred, then nothing is sacred.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And
That's
so
right.
if instead of saying I'm working on it, decide for yourself what you want this marriage as. Do you want it sanctified and special, or do you want to work on it being sanctified and special? So either God did sanctify it or he didn't. There's no middle
Yeah.
ground of he's sanctifying it.
Yeah.
Marriage is sanctified.
Sanctified. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
For sure.
it's an already done deal. And if that's a done deal, then you should act like it's already a done deal, right? So in your sharing with people, yeah, we're going through some stuff, maximum, because they know you're married.
Yeah.
And in marriage, that means we are working on it, not you, me, and Tom, you, me, and Janet. It's you and me are working on this. And when we figure it out, people will tell we figured it out because we will look a little different,
Mhm.
move a little different. And they won't have to be told about the guard change. In fact,
Right.
they can see when the change of the lights on the outside of the building that, hey, maybe there's a guard change. I don't know, but they don't need to go into the paperwork to see what the guard's name is, what schedule his timing. That's for you and you alone.
Mhm.
In your upcoming years, though, when you start hitting a little bit higher in your count of, I think the bigger thing is going to start popping up is, and I'm sorry to tell you this, but the age gap is going to start becoming more of a factor, not because of what you can and can't do, but because you're going to start seeing things that Crystal, you've already passed by, and he's now coming into the knowledge of, and that
Mhm.
has nothing to do with maturity. That's just
Mhm.
how life works.
Yeah.
And a larger amount of patience is going to be needed on both your parts.
Yeah.
More so on your side, Crystal, because, and this is a true statement that girls have a tendency to, at younger age, to mature a little faster than boys. Just because men, we never mature. I want women to be aware
I
that we don't ever grow up, and we're not intending
We
to.
still have some tendencies.
Hey, look, ain't no man supposed to fully grow up. We're supposed to still be children. We're supposed to laugh at stupid stuff still. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but I'm gonna laugh at somebody falling down until I get to the point where I'm okay. You could be badly injured, I'm gonna still laugh at you because that's a child in me, and I'm cherishing that child.
Yes,
But
nothing wrong
there are
with
going to
that.
be things that are going to happen that both of you are going to have an extended amount of patience with,
Mhm.
and not patience because you're trying to get to the end of this problem, but patience in the fact that I've been through that already, and I
Yeah.
understand how long it'll take. Um, but like with the sharing thing, I would encourage it. I'm not telling you what you have to do.
No, it's
No, that's
fine.
good.
Just encouraging you for this part. Your family lived their life.
Mhm.
This is now. It's almost like you were reborn to live a single life, but together,
Yeah.
and not everything that happens in your puberty you need to share.
I agree.
Okay,
I
so
agree.
it's not like a little girl will go and tell my period's here, or a boy comes and tells him something about, my nuts
Yeah.
just dropped. You,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
you
You
don't
don't
go
need to. Yeah.
advertising
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
intimate detail of your life to
Mhm.
everybody the same way you don't go divulging the intimate details of your marriage life with everybody. So not everybody should know why you got divorced,
Mhm.
because that's not for them to know, especially if say, okay, this is the only way I can see it, because this is for me. For
Mhm.
me, I was the reason for my divorce, and I
Mhm.
can own that, not proudly, but I can own it, because in admitting it, it helps me move on to a deeper relationship with God first,
Yeah.
and then whoever else I encounter.
Yeah.
But if it's something that it is a braggadocious thing, well, I never, and this is what, like, again, that is just it. For one, what's the purpose? And two, who needs to know that? For what edification are you giving that for? None. It's just to say something because you can say it. In this marriage thing, if y'all ain't um, fighting to keep it quiet, y'all ain't fighting enough.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Fight to
Oh
keep that
yeah.
thing quiet.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
glad
for
that you're
sure.
working on it. But understand this, just like with the submission thing, if you can't, and I brought this up on Too Strong before, if your response to your husband isn't in the same vein as the church towards Christ, then you're obviously not following scripture, because it said that's the relationship dynamic.
Yeah.
Wife like the church, husband like Christ. I
Mhm.
Mhm.
don't see anywhere in the Bible where it says that the church gets to talk to the head, talk to Christ any way they want, and scream at Christ and tell him, I'm not listening to you. And I don't see any of that in scripture where it says the church has the right to do that. So why is it that the science tell you that woman can do that to her husband and put him in his place and tell him what he can and can't? That is
Or,
that
or
when you
that
enter
men,
marriage.
or that men should express their feelings, because Christ is not telling us how hard He has it in heaven. You
And
know,
Yeah.
like
period, right? And so if we are to follow the dynamic that he laid out marriage should be, which is what he did, not what we did, he did, then there should be some similarities between the two.
Yeah.
The church
Yeah.
is in submission and follows every unction of Christ, the same way the wife has to follow the husband in every unction. The husband has to follow Christ in everything, including the protection of the church.
Yeah.
The devil can't break into heaven,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
And he's
Mhm.
allowed only so much audience,
Yeah.
Right. Right.
because God has the ultimate say over it. And if we don't sanctify it that way, we're done.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
know that
Mhm.
people love to um, identify marriage as a mutual and a give and take. It is not a give and take.
No, it's not.
It is not a give and take, because God didn't give you that option.
Yeah.
If
It's a
God didn't give you that
selfless.
option, like I said, you're not married. You're in a civil union. Say that. But if you're married, there is a hierarchy that God ordained, not me, not man. God ordained. And if you say you're following God, then neither one of y'all should be mad at the function that he set up. Uh,
Absolutely.
what I can say is that your examples of how you guys live is a great one, because what you've divulged to us today is that there is a redemptive quality to finding God in a godly marriage.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
That regardless
Mhm.
of your background and how you were raised, you can always change the dynamic. I
Yeah.
keep hearing about, well, if the forefathers went through this and that, but
Yeah.
now we gonna go. You, bro, you live today and you go probably live tomorrow. So it means you have the option to not
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
continue the
Yeah.
Exactly.
same nonsense that you learn from some other idiot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Really easy to do by saying, that's stupid. I'm
Yeah.
not doing it.
Yeah.
See, look at that. Look, it's like watching somebody step on a thumbtack and ow, ow. And the same thumbtack is in, you're like, I guess if they did it, I guess I got it. That's how stupid you look.
Yeah.
You
And
could
that's
just say,
why,
I'm not
yeah.
stepping on that thumbtack.
Yeah, I get so frustrated, especially in the Christian church. That's why I said I'm really careful Because even Christians have allowed the culture to like teach them, and I mean, it's fair. It's very provocative. It kind of sucks you in,
Uh-huh.
like, and so I'm very careful. Like some of these marriages, like you said, I wouldn't want a marriage like that, and those are even in the
In the
church.
church, yeah.
And so the only way that you can really truly be the wife to your husband is by God's grace, and wanting to please him and wanting to do what's best, and his way works. I mean, a lot of these marriages are just miserable. I mean, they're like prisons. Like, I mean, and I just would never want to do that. So I don't know.
Yeah, and it is a tough decision to have to make, but if you really are about following God, then it's not that tough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have
Hmm.
to ask yourself, is he worth it?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Always ask you, is God worth it? Yeah. So if he's worth it, then it's not a fight, is it? It's
His
it's just
yoke is easy.
it's just a
His
decision
burden.
you have to make.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so I'm gonna. You see, my wife doesn't understand that there are thousands of comments coming in, Pastor, and so she's telling me
I
to scroll up to look for a question. Now I've been scrolling for a while, and I'm still looking
think
for that
I
question.
think her last comment was, "How do we deal with anger or something? Being angry at each other."
Let me see if I can. Well, you might know where it is. I'm gonna look for it here. I'm still scrolling.
Yeah, it was a ways
Okay,
up.
I think. Yeah, and that's why I'm telling her. Like it's a ways up.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like ask me to build a
How do
shelf. I
we
want it
fight?
done now. You know.
How do we fight?
How do we fight?
How
Now
Oh,
y'all
we
said y'all haven't had a fight in a while, so it might be a while
because
since you
we've
had.
gotten better. No,
well, we've gotten
seriously,
better
you
with
guys.
fight.
It
We've
used
gotten
to
better with
be.
arguing and
It
fighting.
it
Yeah, it
used to be like
brutal.
it was so brutal. I mean, like I was, even though I was saved, I was very, very worldly. And I mean, like every fight was a divorce. Like every like getting a divorce I mean,
Every
it'd be
last
the
one.
he'd be so confused because like I'm mad because you didn't take out the trash. I want a divorce. He'd be like, what
Well, obviously, it was more dramatic than that, but I
Yeah,
mean,
well, no, I can trust me. I can see her, and I'm there with the argument like right away. Okay.
Exactly. But what I learned, I mean, I remember my father-in-law, and this is why I say you have to talk to people who are for the marriage, not necessarily. But I never forget, he was just like, anger rests in the bosom of a fool.
Mhm.
And he was like, Crystal, you fight for every single thing. Like you fight for, and he was like, you don't fight for the very most important thing, which is your marriage. And I had to realize that some of these things that I thought was just such a big deal, like I can talk to him and it may not change it. I had to grow up essentially. It may not change what the outcome was, or it may not fix it, but I was able to talk to him. We were able to reason, and he's my husband. He's not going anywhere. Like it was like daddy issues I had. I guess you would say that, like daddy, like he's not going anywhere. Like we had a fight and we disagreed, but we can always get back to the fact that we love each other and we made a commitment before God. And so I think as long as you do that, and if I had to add one more thing, respect, 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 respect. So even God sanctified my tongue because there were certain things. I'm a very blunt person. And so certain things that I would say to just regular old people, I cannot say to my husband. People say, oh, yeah, you're supposed to say, whatever you think or whatever you feel. You don't say whatever you think with your boss. You don't. You don't say whatever you think with somebody who owes you stuff, or your best friends. You can say whatever you want. You don't. And so what gave me the right to say whatever I think to this man? And I had to, you guys, it was just a growing pain where you want to please God and you want to have the most fulfilling life that he has for you, and you got to do it his way.
Yeah, and also I don't jab anymore. I used to say things intentionally that I know would piss her off because because of the way that she was saying it, her tone and everything. And so I don't do that anymore. I really try to stick with what the issue is.
Neither do I.
I also, I used to let people the way that she is, because Crystal's very expressive. She doesn't hide anything. It's all out in the open. She wears a feeling on her sleeves. I used to let people influence me, say that, she's obnoxious, she does too much, you know what I mean? And until I read a scripture in Proverbs that talks about a foolish woman, she guards her heart. And I started to realize about my wife and some of my past relationships where you got to pull information out of women, like they walk around with stuff all the time. You got to figure out where you are with them. You got to like, are we good today? Like, and they do little sly stuff, to let you know that, I'm angry with you. I don't ever have to wonder where my wife is, where I stand. You know what I mean? And you have no idea how much peace I have knowing that she's either angry or we're good.
So she'll come to you and said, by the way, I cut your brakes. If you're going to drive your car, make sure you know that I did it. Exactly. I cut your brakes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Here's the scissors and here's the drip oil so you can know for sure I did it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kill that. I appreciate my wife for how expressive and how she just wears her feelings out there, because you can't get anywhere if you don't communicate, or you don't, so go.
So I did have one other question that, of course, the wife asked. I'm not asking this question, y'all.
I love your wife. I have to meet her. I love her.
Hey, y'all can come to I didn't tell you this, but I'm having a family convention in July.
Oh,
I'm hosting a family convention in July. A family convention where the husband, wife, and children are all going to have separate classes to learn stuff, but it's going to be a convention specifically for families.
Nice.
And it's July 24th, 25th, and 26th. The 24th and 25th are the classes, and the 26th is just at the park. Do what you want to do, be what you want to be. It's open, go swim, whatever.
Nice.
So if you guys want to come to that, feel free.
Give us the information.
Yeah. So this was her. Now again, her question, not mine. I want to make that abundantly clear, because if I don't, I won't be doing my due diligence.
I love it.
In a lot of marriages today, the biggest the center and wedge and I think the breaker of it in modern marriages. Now I'm not talking about a marriage where you're good. Is this intimacy question?
Mm-hmm.
And the intimacy question, I think, gets convoluted with lust or trying to appease somebody versus the other, and one domineers the thing, and it becomes a mud pit. How do you guys navigate that intimacy level? You said you date a lot and stuff like that. And remember, we're all grown adults here. Okay,
we're all adults.
We're not going to be getting graphic like what's his name, Michael Todd. Okay,
I got you.
like an idiot. We're not doing that. But the question is this: how do you guys navigate that waters in terms of it being either of importance, a level of importance in your marriage versus like communication, children, stuff like that, finances? Where does it rank in your level of necessary things to happen? Does intimacy rank number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Where does it? How important is it to you guys?
So one of my love languages are physical touch and quality time. So it's
number one.
It's probably the number, probably number one.
Okay, just so you know, we're counting out the relationship with Christ. That should be baseline. That's not number 1 or 2. That's
I got you. I got you.
Built on that.
Number one.
Yeah. Obviously, it's built. It's very important to us. And here's what I would say. I saw how my dad was to my mother, how he was very kind to her. He always was touching her, and and I'm not talking about in a provocative.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, his hands was always around her. He wasn't afraid to do PDA in front of the children, to let he always told my mom in front of us how much he loved her, that she's always beautiful. He does that stuff now. Even now, that you are
he says the
sexiest as you were.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Since I met you, and that affected me a lot. It really affected me. To always be gentle to my wife, to praise her, to compliment how well she looks, to hold her hand, to hug her and kiss her in front of my children. You know what I mean? Like, so, and I always wanted that in return. It's kind of a ego thing for me. Like, I want to feel desired. You know what I mean? So, I want to feel wanted. I want to feel, like, that you appreciate me and you want me around. So it's really important to me.
Yeah. So it's number one. And I think we navigate it. I think the woman in the relationship has the, the responsibility to be available to her husband. Like, I mean, like, there's never been a time that like I got a headache, I don't feel
Mm-mm,
good, I
mm-mm.
don't like and I remember being taught that, like, just from my old pastors. Like, my old pastors, they really led us in the way of a marriage. And he, he gave us very specific advice about, pornography, and all of these, like, using toys and stuff like that, how that can
None of that.
destroy the DNA
None of that.
of just the mere intimacy and the sexuality. And so what we have done, we just try to stay very, very close, very I flirt with him all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
We were in the pool yesterday, and I gotta tell this joke. Hopefully it's a little can I be a little crass?
Well, a little.
Just a little crass, you guys, but I'm just saying, flirt with your husband, right? And so, like, all the kids were doing surfboard, and he was like you're gonna he was like you can surfboard, mommy. I was like, oh yeah, I could surfboard, like, like, just we flirt with each other, like. And you got to, just like the day you just met, letting each other know that you still got it, you still desire, you're not dead, you're married. And just because you don't want to do it doesn't mean that the feeling has left your spouse. And what you don't want to do is start that feeling where he's no longer looking at it from you. He's
Mhm.
looking at it from someone else. So that's what I would encourage somebody to do.
So, in case people don't know this, the Bible does address this. In case people forget,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
not just address it, it addresses it like directly. Okay, so
Yes.
Directly.
we're gonna
Yeah,
read that
absolutely.
to close this out. Do not deprive one another except with consent for a time,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm,
that you
mhm.
give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and
Mm-hmm.
then come together again so that Satan does not tempt you because of your lack of
Of
self
self-control.
control.
Mhm,
Yes.
mhm.
Now, the reason Paul also had said too that he would desire that everyone be single, but he understands the marriage thing because not everybody has that level of what? Self
Self-control.
Control.
control. And so we have to understand too that the human body, not everybody
Mm-hmm.
has certain requirements and needs, and marriage supplies that.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, when you follow God individually as a single person, trust and believe me, he will match you with somebody that allows for that to
Mm-hmm.
be the mainstay.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, God being the baseline. That's not in debate. That's just the baseline. He's the
Mm-hmm.
foundation. And as
Mm-hmm.
long as he's a foundation, trust me, he'll grant you the person that matches you
Yeah,
100%.
for sure.
Now, it may not be 100% at the beginning because y'all are still learning each other,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm,
but he
mhm.
knows the end from the beginning. Now, in this verse, it directly tells you, do not
Not.
deprive
Deprive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
each other.
Yeah.
This whole concept that we have of um, the woman can say no and the man can say no.
Yeah,
No,
no, yeah.
Mm-mm.
actually, I want you to guys to be understanding of this. That is man telling you how to
Mm-hmm.
operate in that.
Mhm, mhm.
And y'all might see it as well. You can't force somebody. It won't be forced when you understand that you ought not to deprive
Mm-hmm.
somebody of. Understand what I'm saying? So the intimacy thing, and it, like I said, once you decide that this is the person you're going to be with,
Mm-hmm.
you've decided that. And if you have to decide it based on what you know about the person, that should be a discussion.
Yep.
And once that and you know what that person, and you still decide to go through, and then you decide, nah, you're already setting yourself up for problems, and you actually did not want to be married. You wanted the idea of marriage, you
Wanted
like
the
the
idea.
concept of
Right.
marriage,
Exactly.
and then you got into it, and you're like, oh crap,
Yeah.
Yeah.
man, this
Yeah.
ain't working for me. And then you say, that's it for divorce. So it saves a lot of problems when you understand that this is something you're entering to while you are no longer your own.
Mhm.
Yeah, good example. Jesus in the garden. If there is any way for this cup to pass from me,
Mhm.
let it be. But not my will, but yours be
Mm-hmm.
done. You see how that dynamic worked?
Yes.
It ain't about me. It's about you, God.
Yeah.
He gave you the example right off the top. And he told you that it's just the same way between him and the church, right? That's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mirror. And if that's the case, then it ain't your will. All right. I'm just saying. So it ain't your will. It's your spouse's will. The same way it ain't your spouse's will, it's yours. And
Yep.
when you mutually understand that, there should be no problem, because you know what ends up happening, and this is what I can tell you guys too. When your minds and your hearts start and your spirits start to become more in tune, that intimacy thing is taken care of.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Like that.
yeah. It just takes care of
That's the
itself
cake
when
part.
your
That's
heart
the
and mind's
cake
into.
part.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's the cake.
absolutely agree. You know, it's just second nature now. You know what I mean? It's not like it just it's just who we. It's just part of us. You know.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It becomes a routine, and not a
Yeah,
routine in a bad way. It becomes a natural part of your existence
your
together.
existence. We
Yeah.
Yeah,
share that together,
yeah,
right? You
Yeah.
know, so
And a foolish woman, I think the Bible says, tears down her own
yeah, yeah.
household. And I mean, it's in, and I mean, like, it is so, God, I mean, like, everybody constantly tells me, like, it don't matter. Like, girl, you need to do something for yourself. You need to take time for yourself, girl. If he ain't it, like, and we just you got to fight against that. And because the Bible calls us foolish when we find ourselves and I don't want to be called a fool, but
right.
like, I don't want to be a
The
fool.
only time and the only time that intimacy gets hard is when you're looking at something else. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, like when your eyes are fixated on another woman's body, another, or something else, all the crap that comes in social media and what you're staring at on pornography, that's when intimacy gets hard.
And trust
You
me, your
have
partner
to,
can tell.
yeah, yeah, they can
I'm
tell.
saying,
They can
talking
tell.
from experience.
I'm
They,
I'm speaking from experience, but the good thing is that it's never too late to detox yourself and to really build that intimacy back,
yeah,
and
right.
get back into a good space with your wife.
Yeah. I want to really thank you guys for this, because this is a good precursor for the event, because
Yeah.
we will, man, look, listen, man, we will be talking about this stuff. It's not an if or maybe. We
Mhm.
will,
Mhm.
men, specifically men. I don't know what the women are going to be talking about, but I know the men. The reason why I say I know for sure that men will be talking about it, because I'll be handling the men's breakout class.
Mhm.
Uh, I want to bring up the course here so you guys can see. Um, this is it here. Modern World Godly Family is
I
the
love
name
that.
of that link.
Nice.
Okay. And you can go to eventcreate.com/e/MWGF, and you can go sign up, register, and it will
Okay.
give you a whole breakdown of what we're going to be talking about. Enjoy it. Trust me, it's going to be good.
What state are you in, Marlon?
I'm in Washington
Yeah,
State,
he's in
over on the
Seattle.
Oh, in
west coast.
Yeah,
Seattle. Okay,
Seattle,
over in
Yeah,
Seattle.
Seattle
Okay.
area. Yeah. Well, I'm not, and thank God I'm not in Seattle. Whew.
Oh, okay.
No,
Ooh,
no.
crazy over there, man.
What? Look, I'm not ever gonna live on the west side. I'm in the middle of the state, like dead center, middle, where it's beautiful. I'm in a valley, hidden, Hidden Valley Ranch. I'm
Man.
in the middle
Oh, I
here.
love that.
So
I
when
love
you
that.
guys get
speaking
here,
my
trust me,
language.
your eyes are gonna be happy, because it's a beautiful area, beautiful weather. It doesn't get super hot. It
Mhm.
gets really cold, but it doesn't get super hot here. And if it does get super hot, trust me, the water is like right there next to where we're gonna have the event. So if you want to go swim in the river, and it's a beautiful river, go dip, get cool, come back out.
Nice.
Okay, so
Nice.
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 we're gonna have this event, and I'll be hopefully creating a nice little commercial for it. And these are the speakers. Corey's gonna be there, guys. So make sure you guys show up, because
Oh,
Corey will be
nice.
speaking. My wife will be speaking, and I'll be doing the last one at 3 o'clock the first day, and then we'll have our breakout sessions. And on the third day, it'll be a free for all at the park. And
Nice.
you guys can we're gonna have a nice pavilion we can hang out in. There's a playground for the kids, and then there's going to be activities there, even volleyball area and all. It's really cool. It's a really cool area.
Cool. That's so
So we'll be talking about all the stuff that we ain't going to be talking about here,
nice. Hmm.
because I think a lot of men, unfortunately, feel like they cannot speak about the things that they have in their minds and heart, when it comes to the intimacy thing, because we will have that topic pop up, trust and believe me, and we can talk a little bit more direct to it. And when I mean direct, I mean we are going to talk about the hard things, not
Yeah.
the superficial floating and, oh, make sure you kiss your wife. We're going to be talking about the things that are going to be difficult to talk about in church.
Yeah.
But we will not be doing it the way these ridiculous preachers do today, and they try to make it all about the booty shake and nonsense. And like I
Yeah.
said, ain't nothing wrong with you liking your wife booty, but at the same time, I think it's become more
Time
about
and place for everything.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
and I'm pretty sure that the women are going to have the discussion as well. So um, I would love to have you guys there if it's all possible. In fact, I'm going to put this out on the public forum because y'all sing. I do my fair share too. Okay,
Okay, okay,
I'm
Yeah,
okay.
not
that's all.
I'm not the best at it, but I do my dabbling in singing, and I'm going to be the one in charge of the worship sessions on the Wednesday and the Thursday. And but if y'all are there, if y'all are there, we can have
We
a
got
nice
you.
little, you know, we can
Let
have a
me check
good
my
robust
schedule.
program.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
Okay.
for
check. Yeah, we'll
sure,
check.
for sure. And I'll
That's
text
that's the
you.
24th
Yeah.
through the 26th.
Yeah,
That Thursday.
24th through 26th in July.
Right.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Nice.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it'll be good. I think it'll be either way, whether you can help with the singing or not. I have, ironically, I can tell people this. My ex-wife will be helping singing because we have this odd relationship because God made it this way, where she and my wife are like,
Yeah.
like
Well, I
that.
told you, me and her ex-husband, we talk. So
Yeah. And so it's a great thing because we both realize who was at fault, and
Yeah.
I've made amends to my people that I need to. I've gotten my forgiveness, and I've asked my forgiveness, and then now the whole family can be this nice unit, and it's a great thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I said, when God moves, God does stuff that you ain't never seen happen before or possible, and it's the weirdest thing ever, but it's the funnest thing ever.
Mhm.
But if you can make it, that'd be amazing. July. So I want to really thank you guys for
Oh, thank
coming in. It was
Absolutely.
you.
really
Thanks for
good. It was
having
Thank
us.
you
really
for
Friday good
having us.
meeting you on
Yeah,
stream.
nice to meet you too, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, and
Um,
thank you guys so much. Like, I love your
Your audience,
audience,
they're
and they're
awesome.
just so active. You guys, thank you, and keep us,
Keep us
in
in
your
prayer.
prayer.
Yeah, keep us in
yeah, for sure. We want to keep positive marriages, and for those out there who think that um, culture dictates your marriage, God does,
Yes,
That's
it
right.
has
not
to.
That's
not
right.
culture. And so
Right.
when you hear people saying that the black family is on the decline, yes, it is, because they're not including God.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
And
right.
if
yeah,
you do include God, you know, and you're in business because you'll find that generational trauma and all that crap, it is inconsequential to the blood.
Well, it's
yeah,
what you said.
Absolutely inconsequential.
It's what you said in the beginning. When you include God, marriage is profitable. It's possible and
And
profitable.
profitable.
Yeah,
yeah,
I love
yeah.
that. I love
And the
that.
culture is trash. I mean, like, black
It
culture
is.
is completely trash. And so when you try to take that culture and make a marriage out of it, it ain't gonna
Jesus.
work.
Oh my
It
Right.
ain't
goodness.
gonna work.
And so it's going to end up being positive for you. Trust and believe that. I know it may seem like it's uh, too churchy and all that stuff. Get past that for a second and just
Mhm.
analyze and see if it does work.
Yeah.
Even if it is churchy, does it work? And
Yep.
if you're tired of the cycle, then try something that works and don't be insane and keep doing the same stupid stuff that doesn't work.
That's right.
So in either case, next week, like I said, be have a good weekend. But this next week we're going to be starting in Galatians, and I'm pretty sure, like 100% sure, we'll probably be there for the next 3 weeks because, like I tell you, it's a deep book because it explains a lot of what it actually means to be free in Christ, not free to do what you want, but free in Christ.
Mhm.
And when you start realizing that your wants are secondary to God's wants, then you realize that your wants become His, and that is where real freedom resides. So we'll talk about Galatians in depth, um, and taking the word for the word, not trying to add to it. So just know that's what's going to happen.
Man.
Um, and I think today we'll be on the Savage Patriots at 6:30. Don't miss that one. We have some more in-depth kind of research kind of based topic today. And I think you guys will be interested in information because it will help you at least decipher how to navigate the political waters. Because while we're not of it, we're in it, the world, I
Yep,
mean.
for sure.
So you got to make sure you know how to navigate it because
That's
it does
right.
affect you one way or another. So we'll talk about that. So thanks again for you guys for tuning in and coming on. I want to do this again at some point.
Yeah, it
I
Absolutely.
was
think to
fun.
talk more along the lines of the kids thing because they're the ones being targeted a lot.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I want to have the discussion with you guys more so along the agenda pushed on kids and how we as parents can come by. We kind of touched on it, but I want to really dive into that one because I think on the global scale, that's who they're targeting because the devil knows if you get the offspring, you get the next generation.
Oh yeah, for
He's
sure.
not a stupid human being. He's a liar, but he ain't dumb.
He ain't dumb.
Okay,
He's not
he
dumb.
ain't slow.
He's
Because
smarter than us.
yeah,
Look, he might
he got
he ain't
Eve, didn't
smarter
he?
than He ain't smarter than God, but he's a lot
He got
smarter
Eve.
than us.
He got Eve,
did.
and he got Adam. Okay.
Mhm.
Yep.
All right. And they could hear God's voice walking. So I just
That's
want
right.
you to
That's
understand
right.
how
That's right.
conniving that man is. Okay. So just so you know. So thank you again. Love you guys. Scrolling at
Appreciate
the
you, man. Love
bottom
you. Yeah.
here, you will see the options to support the channel. Again, everybody knows what y'all do with that. You take it to God, take it to the author. He decides whether or not you should or shouldn't, and what you
Mhm.
should and shouldn't do. Just remember that. I'm not telling you what you should do. Only one person tells you that, and you go to him first. Okay. Make sure I want to make sure people hear that. So when you figure that out with him, act accordingly. And I'll thank you eventually for whatever you decide. Either way, I thank you for listening and talking to the author. We'll catch you guys on Savage Patriots and then on Monday for Galatians. Wisdom calls to you from the streets. So please, please, please find wisdom.
Amen.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die,